Hey everyone, and welcome to the Kimberly Guilfoyle Show, live on Rumble, where facts come first and where news is done right. And we begin today with Democrats deeply divided over a possible deal in Washington to address Joe Biden's broken border catastrophe. Now, according to reports, lawmakers have been in a standoff over Ukraine aid, border funding, and new asylum restrictions. And now many far-left Democrats are coming straight at Biden and saying if he cuts a deal to secure our border, he will face the wrath of progressives. Here's Washington Democrat Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal. Well, that was one. Take a look.
Get from the left if he does agree to these changes.
There's going to be a lot. We have to put together a coalition that is the same coalition we delivered in 2020 for him to win the White House, for us to win the Senate, and for us to take back the House. Mm-hmm. And that coalition involves a lot of young voters. It involves a lot of immigrant voters. It involves a lot of folks of color.
And Biden is feeling the heat from all directions, as New York Mayor Eric Adams says Biden let the border spiral out of control, abandoned New York, and unleashed chaos on city streets. Take a look.
Real job of explaining to everyday New Yorkers that the federal government has abandoned this important issue that's a national issue. So they're angry, and it's going to come out. I'm the mayor.
You, the mayor, with 28% approval. But of course, the border is a self-inflicted crisis created by Joe Biden and the Democrats. You want to fix the border? Just look to Donald Trump. Border walls, asylum restrictions, a safe third country agreements, remain in Mexico policy, and Title 42 protections are just some of the Trump policies that gave us the most secure border in modern history. Here's President Trump in Reno, Nevada yesterday, laying it all out. Watch.
If you were safer, your family was safer, your communities were safer, your children were safer, your borders were safer, and your whole country was safer, a lot safer. 3 years ago, we had the most secure border in U.S. history. We built 561 miles of border wall. We got Mexico to give us, free of charge, 28,000 soldiers. Thank you very much. We ended catch and release. We let our great ICE agents do their job. And we deported over 1 million illegals in my very first term. 1 million.
And meanwhile, Americans continue to suffer under the Biden economy, with families having to save around $10,000 more per year to keep up with the pace of rising mortgage rates, household goods, and childcare. But Democrats, they would rather double down on sham indictments, unhinged lawfare, and corrupt justice than do what's right for the country. It's all just more evidence of the real costs of corruption as the country crumbles and Democrats launch one witch hunt after another. Joining me now is the slayer of witch hunts, okay? General Counsel for Save America, legal spokeswoman for President Trump, superstar Alina Habba. Thank you so much. I know you have been all over the country working so hard with a crazy travel schedule. So thank you for joining us now. You know, closing arguments are scheduled for, I believe, January 11th, early January, in this sham New York civil trial. There's been 40 witnesses over several months, and yet no evidence of fraud. But as we've seen, right. Yeah, facts aren't important to these people. It's not a top priority for the AG's office. What can you tell us?
I think you said it perfectly. The facts are on our side. We heard Deutsche Bank say that the Trump organization was a whale of a client, that they valued them as a client, and that they performed and overperformed. They paid loans off early. They never defaulted, and they took care of their properties, and they had commitments to improve the properties that they exceeded on most instances. Then we heard from the top expert in accounting, somebody who the Nobel Executive Committee has asked for recommendations on accounting prestigious awards. He came in, NYU Stern professor, and said, I looked at the AG's complaint. It is void of merit. It is completely a hoax. And the only witch hunt, as the president say, is Letitia James and what she is doing to the New Yorkers. She has taken their money, and for 11 weeks, Kim, and you know all too well, for 11 weeks, we wasted taxpayer dollars because she wants to put her nose into private companies where no one was hurt, everyone made money, and use a commercial law against an individual without a jury. It is the most corruption we've ever seen. So we have a gap to do some closing papers, but I must say, I've never seen a case where I've had to try it for 11 weeks knowing I lost. And it's an incredibly frustrating position. It's very un-American.
You're absolutely right. I mean, it's a terrible feeling. I mean, just sitting there, you know, day after day, getting persecuted. They don't care. Like, you know, the actual real truth and the facts and evidence fall on deaf ears because they prejudge the case, predetermined it, and it amounts to election interference because they're doing this because they don't want to face them in the ballot box in 2024. But too bad they're going to have to. So Judge Engoron said last week, quote, in a strange way, I'm going to miss this trial. But trials aren't supposed to be a show. You've even been hit with a gag order to stop you from even talking about key aspects of the case or making certain objections or findings to reflect the record accurately. Doesn't all of this implicate the Sixth Amendment and the right to a fair trial?
Yeah, First Amendment, Sixth Amendment. Imagine your lawyer going into court and not being able to put objections on the record for things they see that are improper and unethical. I'm not allowed to speak about it. I'm not allowed to speak about it in court or out. And that is a very frightening thing. How can I defend my client when I can't make a record for appeal? We know we're going to lose in this court, but we'd like to make a record for the appellate division where judges, we hope, will actually consider the facts and the law. It's really been an unconstitutional demise of our country, Kim. I mean, that's the best way I could say it. I said it 100 times this weekend at every speech. We have to value the Constitution. We have to care about the basics of our country and our judicial system. And unfortunately, the fact that the president's lawyer has become his spokeswoman says it all. It is truly corrupt. I have seen it with my own eyes, and I wish that the cameras were in there to watch themselves. But the fact that he's sad that this case is over is insane. I could not have been happier to get out of there because I need to move on and get this case where it needs to be, which is in front of real judges who are going to take real consideration of this hoax of a case.
You're absolutely right. Get it where it needs to be. Well stated. And remember now, again, and another shock and awe moment, the judge found fraud before you guys even walked in the door. Months of taxpayer dollars on this, like you mentioned, on this circus, the show trial. How has this, impacted ultimately, how you view the legal system? Meaning before you had to come in and take over stuff for Trump, and now just dealing with, this is just one of the cases.
Yeah, and I've dealt with many. I'm fortunate enough that I've won many. I've only lost one. This will probably be number 2, but I don't call it a loss because it's not a fair fight. So it's like fighting with your hands behind your hands are tied behind your back and your eyes are closed, and you're supposed to go in there when you've already lost. And you mentioned a couple months. I've been on this case for 3 years almost.
Yeah.
I was on it when it was a special proceeding, when there was a 2-year investigation. And then when they drafted a complaint, the judge gave us less than 6 months to get our discovery that they had years to do, get into court on time and try the case. How is that fair? There are so many levels of just unfair treatment. And it's all because I get up and I say, my name's Alina Habba and I represent President Donald Trump, and their politics cannot be within the robe. Their politics have no space in the courtroom, but I've seen it time and time again. And unfortunately, I have another trial in a couple weeks. It's not for the weak need, but we're ready to fight them, as you say, Kim. And, I follow your example. We just keep fighting and keep getting louder and louder.
We never stop. And I'll tell you something, Alina. It's not going to be a loss because ultimately you're going to prevail, in the appeals process. I believe justice, delayed will not be justice denied in this case, and you will be vindicated, and the world will know what a great job that you did, that you never gave up fighting for the truth, because this isn't just about President Trump. If they can do it to him, they can do it to any single one of us United States citizens out there. And, God help them. So it's worth fighting for. Let's talk about, because I think this is important and people are so upset about what they see transpiring in this case. I've talked to liberals, Democrats, independents, libertarians. They all say this is very unfair. However, a lot of people are clinging to the hope of, the appeals process. Can you tell our viewers and listeners a little bit about how that's going to look? Like you said, you want to get it where it needs to be, so in front of the right, court.
Yeah, and I mean, if anybody's been hearing me on the news after the press conferences when I come out angry, it's because um not because of the role I have or my job, but because I'm an American and I have children that I'm worried about. And when I see what's going on in this case, I have seen things that warrant a reversal. I have seen things that are unconstitutional, the gag order, as you said, being one of them. But what I haven't seen is damages. I haven't seen a victim. I haven't seen a crime. I haven't seen a civil crime that warrants anybody getting disgorgement, which means that they would take money that would effectively deplatform the Trump organization. It is absolutely insane. They wouldn't be able to get loans. They would be convicted of fraud. For what? They gave 1,000 people jobs. They pay hundreds of millions of dollars a year in taxes for payroll, for employees, and that's not even including the housekeepers at the hotels and the people that are on the ground. That's just Trump org direct employees. Never mind contractors, while they make New York better, which is completely falling apart. But Miss James had a political agenda. She said it before she came out. She was going to get
ran
Trump.
on it.
She was going to get the Trump. She ran on it, and she didn't have any knowledge at that point, Kim. No knowledge of any fact about the Trump organization, a private company. They are not publicly traded. And so she ran on a witch hunt. It is truly a witch hunt. And then now she is succeeding for her political interests. And that is just so improper. The state of New York is a mess. And if you are a small business, if you are a large business, how are you going to defend yourself against Miss Letitia James? She is going to come put her nose in because she doesn't like your politics. That's frightening.
You're absolutely right. And she'll persecute you for her own political gain. She could put her interests aside if she actually cared about law and order and the rule of law and being justice is blind, then she would try to even settle this case. But she has no interest in that, in my opinion, just because, she wants to just try to make herself, look good and use this as, something politically advantageous for her next, jumping off point.
It's very clear if you look at the fact that she only came to court on the days that President Trump or the boys were there, or Ivanka. She only came to court on certain days that a high profile person was there. She wasn't interested in any other days. And on those days, she literally came in, took notes, and then left and did her press conferences. Well, she's unfortunately met me, who can get more airtime and be louder. And I was so pleased to be able to serve my clients,
Yes,
including your fiance, to go out there and be the loudest mouth, because America needs to actually know what the facts are. And if we don't have somebody counteracting these AGs and DAs that are corrupt and that are literally running on platforms for politics, not law, then we're in real big trouble. And I tell you right now, Kim, I will be a loudmouth on every single case that they have. We want to go on J6. They want to go on the boxes.
Oh, yeah, you're undeterred.
They want to go for,
and unafraid.
I don't care. I will be out there outside court doing the same thing, because they're not going to use this as a moment for them. And frankly, it's not working. The president's poll numbers show it's not working. Americans are sick of it,
backfiring, in
and
fact,
they're worried.
quite frankly. He
Yeah.
keeps jumping up in the polls. So this has really not been a good time for them, because they have failed in spectacular fashion. You also spoke this weekend. This is how hard you're working in court, and then you run into Arizona, and you were at Turning Point's terrific AmFest that Charlie Kirk and there you are. Look at her go. And you fired them all up there. You made some headlines. You talked about the dangers of someone's, politics impacting how they might be treated in court. What damage do you think ultimately, has been done to our justice system? Do you see it as irreparable? And, I don't know, I'm looking forward to a year from now where we can get some things straightened out.
Yeah, we have to clean up from the top. I think we have to start with the DOJ, the FBI, the people that are giving fake FISA warrants, the people that are allowing surveillance on individuals that should not have surveillance. That's what I would do. I would start right there, clean up, and then go down. Because if you have an AG, if you have a Merrick Garland in charge, and he's putting Jack Smiths out in the world, and Alvin Bragg's out in the world, and Letitia James's, and Fannie, and the list goes on, then the judges will follow suit. If you have true law and order, if you have people that are not politically motivated, I think we can get the country back. But I only know one person that can do that, who's somebody who's not bought by any party, not
Special
bought
interest or
by
anything. Yeah.
any political interest group. And that's really what we need, is to clean up and get the country back to that, and not to Russia, not to Cuba, which is what I'm seeing now. So judges need to be reprimanded when they are acting inappropriately. They need to be derobed quickly, and they should not have positions of power, and they should not have people around them that are politically motivated and influencing them, period, the end. So I don't think it's irreversible, but I will say that it is a frightening time. It is really happening. I've seen it with my own eyes many times in different courts, and we are in serious trouble. The Supreme Court, I also have faith in. I think that they'll make the right decision with presidential immunity and get things back on track.
Well, good. And, amid this, giant waste, enormous waste of taxpayer dollars, crime and declining quality of life is plaguing cities like New York City. You saw the clip there with Eric Adams, who is at a whopping 28% approval. So, of course, he is pointing the finger, quite frankly, accurately as well, at, Joe Biden for the decline and what's happening in New York. But also the finger should be pointed at, Letitia James as well, because she has no interest in actually, fighting crime and making New York a better place. She just wants to persecute Trump. I mean, the lawfare is taking priority over protecting public safety. How much worse, honestly, do you think this is going to get, before it gets better?
I think as long as our borders are open, as long as we have puppets in these AGs and DAs right now, until the election is over, I fear that there will be no help. It's very clear that they're trying to tie up Trump, make him sit in courts and criminal courts. I think that the Supreme Court has showed me promise, and I go back to that. We had a recent decision last week that, they had to stay the January 6th proceedings, and they actually said we have to address this issue of presidential immunity before we proceed. And that is important, not just to Republicans, to Democrats and Republicans, because it applies to Obama, it applies to Biden, it'll apply to future presidents. And that is the key. And I always say that, Kim, I know I'm President Trump's lawyer, but I really represent America, and I represent what we were, and that's
and
really
the
what
future
I hope
of what we can be and will be, again, with the help of God, and we will go forward, hopefully in just, 11, 12 months time, and we will right this ship. Democrats are very cheeky, all right? And they constantly say, no one is above the law. Well, quite frankly, apparently no one is below the law either, okay? You are, and doing such a fabulous job, the spokeswoman for President Trump's legal team and for the president. What's your response to this rhetoric that we're seeing from Democrats on this issue?
I wish that they could show me that no one is above the law. Look at Hunter Biden. If it was Don Jr., he'd be treason 5 times in hearings and committees. Hunter Biden gets a subpoena, has to show up to Congress to answer questions under oath. Instead, he goes to the wrong location, gets on the mic and goes, I'm here. Well, that's not how subpoenas work, Hunter. You have to go get under oath and be in jeopardy of perjury. And you couldn't do it. Instead, you read a statement that your lawyers wrote talking about your father to help his political career, which is clearly failing. You should help him walk and maybe find somewhere other than an ice cream store to go to, maybe the border, for instance.
It's ridiculous.
But this is what we're seeing. So you want to get up and say, no one is above the law. Show me no one is above the law, because it seems like only Republicans aren't above the law, and you'll bend the law. You'll use laws that are not meant to be used this way to attack your political opponent. It's election interference at its finest.
Absolutely.
It's got to stop. And I think that Americans, though, Kim, I do have faith. Our country is awake. I've had so many people come. And they come up, and I know what happens to you too. They come up to us and they say, thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you for
I wasn't
fighting.
sure about Trump. Now I'm voting for Trump because I can't believe politicians.
I like those people. We want to build a big tent, and we need a big tent to fight against the arrogance and the hubris of the Democrats, the liberals, and those who have weaponized our justice system and our government agencies. And that is for sure. So you're preparing the briefs. You guys are getting everything ready. Be back in court on the 11th, for closing arguments. Just a little favor here. If you can please get my fiance and his brother off, I'd really appreciate it. Really don't want to have to gonna have to support
I'm on
Junior for
it.
the rest of his life. Oh my God. What is going on with the sparkles? That was so crazy.
What's the sparkles? Oh, you know what?
I-
It's that iPhone thing. I think you give a thumbs up. It like thinks it's 4th of July. Maybe it is.
Oh,
4th
that's
of July.
hysterical. Oh my God. I think that was just like an omen, a sign that good
Yeah,
things
that
are
was
here
God's
to
plan
come.
right there.
They're going to say we're like witches now, bewitched. And we're like, you should be worried. Maybe it's true. Anyway, you're the
Watch
absolute
out, don't
best,
raise
babe.
your
Huh?
finger. Don't raise your finger. We'll have more. We'll have
I
more
know. I don't know
sparkles.
what's going on here. It's like very interesting. I know. There you go. Those two. Well, she's my sister from another mother, a total fighter and a class act, and one hell of a lawyer. And I got to tell you something. When you got Habba in your corner and on your side, I like your odds. Thank you, baby girl, so much for being on the program. Again, General Counsel for Save America, spokeswoman for the President of the United States, Alina Habba. Thank you, babe.
Thank you, Kim.
All right. And don't go anywhere. Maybe more sparkles or fireworks. Much more to come with Truth Social CEO Devin Nunes. He is here. So make sure you like and subscribe so you never miss these major episodes, because it's all of you who make the show possible, along with our incredible sponsors. So be sure to go check out the great folks over at Goldco. Gold and silver can protect your retirement savings from inflation and dollar devaluation. Look, we all see the economic warning signs, okay? Thank you, Biden. We see banks collapsing. We see reckless spending, and I want you to be ready and your family, because I'm ready. With Goldco, you can take action to secure and stabilize your portfolio. You can roll over your 401k or IRA into precious metals and safeguard your savings. You can do it all tax and penalty free. So from precious metals, IRAs to direct purchases of gold and silver, Goldco has helped thousands of Americans place over $2 billion in gold and silver. And when you open up a qualifying gold IRA today, get up to $10,000 in free silver. Go to kimsmetals.com to learn more. That's kimsmetals.com. And now we turn to more major developments surrounding the formal impeachment inquiry into Joe Biden, where House investigators are now probing Hunter's suspicious personal ties to a Hollywood mega lawyer who reportedly paid off millions of Hunter's back taxes. Oh, boy. Now, according to House Ways and Means Chair Jason Smith, Hunter and lawyer Kevin Morris only knew each other for a few months before Morris paid millions into Hunter's tax returns. So the question is, why would this lawyer pay all of this money to help Hunter? Why? What was Kevin Morris getting in return from Hunter or Joe Biden? What's a quid pro quo? And meanwhile, Joe Biden keeps lying and claiming he knew nothing about his son's dealings. Here's Congressman Smith exposing yet another Biden lie. Watch.
This is just a pattern that we've been seeing throughout this entire investigation. You have Joe Biden saying that he knew nothing about his son's business dealings. We released the IRS whistleblower testimony, and then the next day they started to say that he was not involved in his son's business dealings. However, just this week, Hunter Biden's in his press conference says that Joe Biden was not financially involved. Well, let me tell you, the emails and documentation we've been getting from the IRS whistleblowers prove otherwise.
And joining me now, Truth Social CEO, former House Intel Chairman, Devin Nunes. Thank you so much for being on the program.
Great to be with you, Kimberly.
All right. So I got superstars today. I had Alina, I got Devin. I'm good. All right. So this is very interesting. I want to get your reaction to the vote on the formal impeachment inquiry and the hearing. Where does the process go from here?
So they've been running an investigation. I think they're trying to follow all the rules, and they're doing this inquiry. You know, it just ups it a notch. I mean, the question's going to be is, will these witnesses cooperate? And I think you were just mentioning it. You know, this whole idea that Hunter Biden shows up and makes a mockery of the House of Representatives. Terrible. I've never seen any of that. Anybody that has the balls to do something like that is amazing. And I think that the Republicans, you know, should treat it as such that, you know, this is a time. I mean, it hasn't happened over 100 years, but the DOJ and the FBI are not going to do anything about Hunter Biden and his, you know, because remember, you have Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro who are being prosecuted for essentially the same thing, but they never went and stood in front of Congress and said, "Oh, I'm here. I testified. I'm out of here. Screw you guys." They didn't do that.
No.
And I've never seen. Look, and I watched Eric Holder do the same thing, who was Obama's attorney general, who went through the whole process, was held in contempt, and nothing happened. So the Republicans should move quickly to hold Hunter Biden in contempt. That's number one.
I agree. Why haven't they already? I mean, is it, I guess, normal that it hasn't happened yet? I'm just curious because it seems like such a prima facie case.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm sure they're trying to, give him some time to see if he's going to come in. I'm sure they got to check some boxes, but they need to hold him in contempt and get that to the Department of Justice and see if they prosecute.
Okay. So as you mentioned, obviously Hunter defied, this subpoena. How long would it take for Congress to hold him in contempt and make some ruling against him? I just think this is a very bad precedent if they don't act quickly. And what would be the result of that if they went ahead and held him in contempt?
So look, let's look at the calendar here. So we're coming up on Christmas. The Congress is, I think, adjourned. I don't think they've adjourned, completely. They could come back in, but the House lawyers should be able to take all the necessary steps between now and the end of the year. And I think one of the first points of business should be holding him in contempt. And also I would say send out the U.S. Marshals and the Capitol Police to go round him up and bring him in.
Why not?
But look, that's going to sound extreme, but
doesn't sound extreme to me.
These are crazy times, right?
Yeah, but they don't think the rules apply to them. They apply to thee, but not to me. That's what it is. And it's the height of, arrogance. And how is anyone even going to take, Congress seriously if they don't actually enforce the law and hold Hunter accountable? What's to encourage anyone else, or in fact, discourage anyone else from defying congressional subpoenas? Yeah. Because nothing happens.
And they're all on the left. The Democrats are all on record saying the exact same thing in the past. So including at the highest levels, all the highest levels of leadership. Nancy Pelosi's still there. I mean, they're all on record saying the same thing. Yeah. But of course, like I said, it's important to go back in history and look at the time frame. We have, the Attorney General Eric Holder was held in contempt by us. I was there at the time, and of course, he didn't. Nothing happened to them. That's why it was so unprecedented for them.
That was very interesting.
Not that Bannon and Navarro. I mean, I think they have interesting cases that it's very different compared to Hunter Biden. Okay. But they made a spectacle of this. I mean, going in and getting Peter Navarro, who lives in Washington, D.C., a couple blocks from the FBI and DOJ. Why did they have to wait for him to board a plane and then go pull him off the plane? Why? They wanted a spectacle. They wanted the fake news to write about it. I mean, we say this all the time, Kimberly, but this really is Banana Republic time. I mean, we look like lunatics, to our, we're supposedly the world's leading democracy, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's all thrown out the window. We're a laughingstock. We look no different than any of the worst countries in the world right now, the way the Biden administration and this Department of Justice and FBI have been behaving. And look, I would even say that goes back during the Trump administration.
Yeah, it does.
It started in Obama, framing Trump. I was there during all the Russia hoax nonsense. It's continued. Donald Trump, he was being investigated. I did an interview this morning. People forget that Donald Trump never even got to be president. And I know people say, I'm not speaking literally, okay, but I mean, because he was sworn in, obviously, but the whole time he was under investigation. And look, I know, Don Jr., who obviously, well, you see him every day. I was there when he got called down into the House Intelligence Committee to do these, and I think he was there twice. And
yes,
if I would have, and this is the other point I don't think people realize, you had members of Congress who were helping to orchestrate that press conference fiasco. That was a member of Congress, former House Intelligence Committee member Swalwell from California, who, as I understand, I haven't seen the documentation, but he was the one that reserved the location. He sat, 5 feet or stood 5 feet from Hunter Biden. I don't think a lot of people knew who he was, but he was standing right there. Can you imagine if myself and Trey Gowdy or John Ratcliffe or whoever, if Don Jr. would have come there, did a press conference, we're standing behind him, we would have been indicted probably.
I know.
By Trump's Justice Department.
Terrible.
I mean, that's how crazy it is.
The whole thing, it's just absolutely bizarre. And so I hope there's going to be some accountability, for it. So I'm going to have to call and ask around and see who's going to move on this. So let's talk about some of the most important pieces of evidence that you see potentially, relating to possible high crimes and misdemeanors committed by Joe Biden, because he's lying left, right, and center. I mean, one lie after the next.
Okay, so here's what's going on. And you'll love this term, because how many times have we heard the walls are closing in around Trump? The walls are closing in.
A lot. Like we can barely breathe. The walls.
Always with Donald Trump. But here's what's really happened. The walls are actually closing in around Joe Biden.
Okay, good.
So Team Obama has wanted Biden out of the race. That's why they orchestrate. And I say Team Obama because Team Obama has been running this White House. They still run the DOJ. It's not, Garland is a figurehead. He's not in charge there. Lisa Monaco, who was a Russia hoaxer, one of Obama's, right-hand people that was, closest advisor, she's there orchestrating all this madness. She helped to orchestrate Jack Smith, all these cases that where you have DOJ and FBI chasing Donald Trump around the country. She's in the middle of all of it. Well, so Susan Rice, the night before Biden announces that he's going to run for re-election, she was the domestic policy advisor, also one of Obama's top lieutenants. She exits the White House. So they clearly are giving all the signs they don't want him to run. They try to do the sweetheart deal for Hunter in Delaware. That fails. So then what happens? They end up, Biden's, a judge actually stood up and said, wait a second, this gun charge, that doesn't make any sense. There's all these other charges that are out there. I mean, look, I don't want to exaggerate, and you probably would know this better than I would, but I bet if I went through that Hunter Biden laptop, which I don't really want to because it sounds like it's just horrific, but
you can never unsee it. That's the problem, Devin.
Dozens of crimes there.
Yeah.
Dozens of crimes on that thing. So here's what's happening. They want him out. And I think what you see, you've seen David Axelrod from Obama. They come out about 2 months ago with these polls and all of the kind of, talking heads for the Democrats say, well, Joe's getting a little old. Maybe he should just retire. Maybe somebody else should run. That, they started that. And Biden and his wife in that small circle said, no, we're not. So now what's happening? Just over the weekend, Jim Biden, there was a leak of what I assume would have been classified information from 25 years ago. I don't know if you saw this in the Washington Post. 25 years ago, supposedly he was being looked at for corruption or whatever the Washington Post story was. So they're going to start closing these walls in. When I say they, Team Obama, the Department of Justice, the problem is, do they really close it down so hard that because they want Biden out of the race, they desperately want him out of the race. But the only lever they have is those, which are strong levers, would be the Department of Justice run by Obama's people.
Which is still run by Obama's people. You're absolutely right. That's why they're the shot callers. But so, okay, this I think is very interesting. And I know from our chat and stuff, the viewers actually really like this a lot because it's a question on everyone's mind. How do you see it, playing out, especially with your background and intel and everything? If the Obamas want him out, okay, and so do the power thinkers and strategists behind the Obamas, the Messinas, the Axelrods, like all of these guys. So what's the play then? How do they get this done? There's like 11 months left. What happens then? Because you have Kamala Harris, who ends up how do you screw her over? This is a problem for them.
Yes, which is why when I say the walls are closing in, what they're basically going to do is they're going to continue to tighten that noose around him and say, look, Joe, you better get out if you want all this stuff to go away, because whatever you and I both know, and your audience knows, when the Washington Post comes out with something, it's because they were given to it by Team Obama.
It was handed to them by.
It's the narrative that they want to roll out. So they're rolling this narrative out right now, and it's got to be some kind of warning sign to the Bidens. They wouldn't just throw something out, Kimberly, from 25 years ago. No. I mean, they just wouldn't do it. So there's something there that we don't know about. It is a signal to the Bidens that, hey, we have more. We're coming. Now, the question is, when do they get them out? They're running late.
See, that's the thing.
They're running late right now because I think what they really wanted was a robust primary, because that gets them, hey, Biden's an old guy. He's out. That gets rid of Kamala Harris because she would be out herself, because I don't think she would have even run. So that it takes care of that problem.
You think
But
so? She won't expect to step up to be the nominee. She'll lose the race for them worse than Biden.
Well, the way
you have to be careful that you're not pushing aside, a black female.
Right. And that's why they wanted what I'm saying is that they wanted Biden to step out and say, I'm not going to run. Then there would have been a Democrat primary, which Kamala Harris would have to announce she's running. And I don't think
you don't think she would.
She could have run because who's going to give her money? Team Obama is going to say, hey, we already tried like $200 million on her in 2016. We installed her as vice president. I mean, that was Obama's pick as vice president. And she still is terrible. I mean, she's still terrible. I mean, look, the only one worse than Biden is probably Kamala Harris.
Literally, I think she is worse. She is worse than him.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and the polling even shows that. So,
but can you put in somebody like Newsom when it's like I don't even know. I mean, they can't play this game. They want to play to win, and they can't win with Kamala Harris. But then you're displacing essentially, theoretically, a black female with a white male.
So you can. So this now they have that. This is getting to the problem they're going to have if they don't open up the primary, which it appears like they're not. They now have all these extra parties that are running, right? Kennedy moved out. He realized that they weren't going to allow him to run. So he's running as an independent, even though he's far left. You have like 3 or 4 other parties, Green Party and Socialist Party. So now in the polling, you're seeing these guys get somewhere 5, 8, 10% of the vote. This is a disaster for them. So now you're going to skip all these primaries, essentially. Then they're going to get to the convention. And that's where they're going to have to orchestrate behind the scenes something. And look, I think they have a problem. Well, Newsom has his own problems now because California is a disaster. I mean, the budget deficit. He's going to have that problem next year.
Terrible.
I know he's been running a shadow campaign, but I think he's going to have a tough time. But
I don't know that he really wants to run against my father-in-law. I'll be honest with you. I think that he'd probably rather go for what he thinks is a sure position for him in 2028. Because, I mean, Trump is so strong right now, the momentum, and this is the best that he's ever done in any of the polling and all of the above. So I don't know. But it seems like the Democrats were, giving Newsom this push in a way. It seemed he's backed off a little bit now, but it was pretty aggressive for a bit there. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Who else do you think?
He's not, the problem that he has is that he's a white dude. That's strike number 1. And he likes women. I mean, that's strike number 2. I mean, so what's the guy going to do? I mean, because you have to be either a black, brown, LGBTQ plus, or else you're not wanted in the Democratic Party. And look, soon, this is the other problem they have coming up. Imagine the convention, if this war in Israel is still going on, okay, which I'm guessing something's still going to be going on because the Israelis have said, look, we're just not going to turn this back over and let for terrorist breeding ground.
Netanyahu's not letting that go.
Yeah,
and
so you're going to have
that's pissing off Biden too.
And you're going to have a pro-Hamas wing of the Democratic Party. They're going to have total chaos in Chicago if this continues. The war's going on, and you've got every day it builds, and you see even Biden and Harris. They're even trying to placate this radical pro-Hamas wing of the Democratic Party, which it appears to have, a majority of the party. I mean, my God, the only one. This is so bizarre. Is the only one's actually not pro-Hamas that's publicly been out there has been Fetterman, the senator from Pennsylvania.
But he don't even know where he is.
It's so strange. So strange.
I mean, it's so strange. Okay, so if you had to game it out at this point, there is not a lot of time left. And the Democrats want Biden out, like bye-bye, okay? And they only get rid of Kamala Harris if he completely steps aside too. Could you imagine, unless they push him across the finish line, and somehow he manages to win or whatever, and then he steps down and they make like Kamala Harris president? I don't even know if they want to do that.
Yeah, I think where this is, look, this is all, we're just gaming this out. It's a lot of just, guessing here. But this is going to go, if Biden, if he doesn't slip and fall and, where his health is like totally an issue, which could happen.
In 2 seconds, then he's done, yeah.
They're going to continue to close the walls around him. They want to be careful. I mean, when I say close the walls, they're going to be the Department of Justice. They're going to continue to close the walls, just squeeze them off. And then they're going to get him. They're going to basically force him out. That's where I think they're going to head with this. And then they're going to have to find a black, brown, green, something LGBTQ plus. I mean, and it's going to be a nightmare for them.
Yeah, unless Newsom decides that he's going to identify as a black female, then he in trouble.
Hey, maybe
California.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe he is. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, but who do you see? Like, now you're scaring me, because now I'm thinking, what about, like, God help us? What about that Stacey Abrams? And oh my God.
I think right now you're starting to see look, this is from Washington insiders. Okay.
Yes, please
so
tell
some
us
of my
all
old
the
friends
secrets.
who still have like connections into the swamp. And so you pick up what the Democratic strategists and lobbyists are saying in the swamp. So I take it for what it's worth. But I think they're looking at right now, this is the DC insider. So it doesn't mean the DC insiders also, remember, they've supported every candidate but Donald Trump.
Right.
So in the Republican primary, so they're not the smartest group all the time. But what I'm hearing is that they're looking at the governor of New York. I think her name is Hochul, I think is the name, who I think I served with at one point in the House. And then the governor of Michigan, and I can't think of her name right now. But that's what I'm hearing is that's who they're looking at. The DC insiders at least are looking at those two.
Gretchen, yeah. Whitmer.
Yeah, Whitmer, that's the name. See, that's yeah. Ooh. That's what I'm hearing. I can't tell you if it's from reliable sources.
And from two states that have literally gone to hell in a handbasket, like New York and my God, Michigan and Detroit and just everything there. I mean, why don't we pick someone from Chicago? Oh, why don't we ask Letitia James, the New York AG? Why doesn't she run? Good God.
Well, you say Chicago. So the other insider what I'm hearing is that the governor of Illinois, Pritzker, I think that's his name. He is running a shadow campaign, not as good as what Newsom has been running, but he's got the same problem. No white dude, I don't think, is going to make it in the Democratic Party today. I really don't.
What about if they pick somebody like that? Like if they pick a female, a black female, or Newsom recently picked that lady, was very well connected, worked with the unions. And put her in the position. And so, if they do a move like that, I don't know. They've got real problems, but we've got problems too, because this primary is still going on and it should have been shut down. We're wasting time and money and resources with this, shenanigans and kind of theatrics. But you've got people like Nikki Haley pushing
that no one's watching. Okay?
Well, that's true. That's true too. But they're wasting time, which is very frustrating.
Well, they've wasted a lot of money. Now, look, I had no problem look, it's a free country. We're the Republican Party. Everybody compete. People can run. So, look, they had some obligation to do one debate. When they did the second debate, I was like, well, not looking too good. Well, now they just keep doing debates that nobody's watching. And, every day it's
But it seems like this whole swamp is all about, Nikki Haley. I think some of those, establishment, globalists.
It's the new hot candidate that they have. And what I really want to do is, who's giving these candidates all of this money? And somebody's doing it. And it's not your mom and pop. It's not the small donors. It's not, because those are with Donald Trump. And that's what I said from the very beginning of this. This was even before I was at True Social. I was still in Congress, and people would ask, well, who's going to be the nominee? I said, look, Donald Trump is the leader of the Republican Party until Donald Trump wakes up and says, I don't want to be the leader of the Republican Party. And what McConnell and these guys have refused to admit, even though I know they know, if Donald Trump wasn't out on the campaign trail in 2022, how would they have raised any money? How would they have recruited candidates? And I think that's part of the reason why Team Obama at the Department of Justice and the FBI, why they raided Mar-a-Lago. When was that? Think back. It was August, right before the 2022 election. Yeah. Interesting timing. Why did what they expected is for all the Republicans to say, oh, keep Donald Trump away from my district. Well, the opposite happened. So it keeps blowing up in their face, no matter how corrupt that they get.
These are the absolute worst, people. And meanwhile, by the way, the media is back to their old, Russia hoax tricks, coming up with a conspiracy theory about a stolen secret binder with Russian intelligence. I mean, here we go again. What do you think about this?
So see all those reporters right there.
Oh.
Those are all the same Russia hoax reporters. It's like if this was a normal world and you had a real press, those reporters that are all there would not have a job because they would not be employable because they were so wrong on the Russian hoax. I mean, it's pathetic, but CNN contacted me last week and they said, "Oh, binders, binders, binders." I said, "What the hell are you talking about, binders?" It's just crazy talk, absolute crazy talk. And so I give them a quote that makes fun of them, and then they don't run the quote.
I know.
They don't.
You can't make this up. They're so dishonest.
Yeah. Well,
the fake news.
It's horrible because look, for me, that's defamatory, right?
It is
it's total inappropriate behavior because you throw my name into something,
right?
Okay, that I don't have a damn thing to do with, other than I outed all of them on the Russia hoax, right? That was our investigation.
That was
we
amazing.
outed all of them, including all of those reporters. Those same damn reporters have the balls and the audacity to inject my name into their phony Trump mystery binder story. Okay, that nobody, I mean, none of it makes any sense because Donald Trump declassified everything to do with the Russia hoax 47 times. I mean, over and over and over again. And the question is, where are those documents? Where is that information? So they make up the story about binders missing, running around, and then they go out of their way in the story, which is kind of funny, to say, well, they definitely were not looking for those binders when they raided Mar-a-Lago, which that means, oh, so you were actually trying to get these binders when you went to Mar-a-Lago. That's what that
exactly.
means.
But they didn't exist. The whole thing is just absolutely ridiculous and absurd. But, that's why there's got to be accountability, and that's one of the many reasons why I can't wait for him to get back in. But also, this is something important that I want to talk to you about because I saw this and I was like, what the heck? According to new reporting, Benny Thompson did not turn over all the evidentiary materials in the January 6th investigation to House Republicans, but some files were given to Fani Willis, to Merrick Garland, and to Jack Smith. So you're one of the best House investigators there's ever been in this country. What do we make of this?
So whatever's in those files is so corrupt that there's a reason why they don't want to give everything over. My guess is, here's the challenge. So you want to talk about missing binders. So there's all kinds of missing information that the Congress has somewhere. I think the videotapes disappear, not the J6 tapes. These are like the video recordings of the depositions that they leaked. They leaked bits and pieces of those out when it would do them good, when they had their little show trial.
Exactly.
They love doing these show trials, right? I mean, we had to do it during the Russia hoax, then they did it during the Ukraine impeachment hoax.
I did 13 hours, of testimony there, but you didn't see anything come out from me. They got nothing there because nothing to see here, folks.
Yeah, well, I didn't even know that. I'm so sorry you had to do that. I had no idea that you got called into that nonsense too.
Oh yeah.
So
they showed me a picture of me dancing for Don Jr. Can you identify the person in them? I go, that's me. Can you identify the other person? I said, that's Don Jr. They're, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm dancing. He likes it when I dance for him. What is your point? What is the relevance of this? I go, we were just dancing to whatever DJT's playlist in the back. I swear to God,
sorry,
like it was some insurrection dance.
I'm going to interview you now. So wait. Where did they get this? It was a video or a picture?
It's a video. Don Jr. goes like this to me, okay? Because he's a funny guy. I'm like, thank you, Don. So we were listening to him. DJT's playing like his little music before he goes up to speak. And, Don goes like this. Thank you, Don, to put it up like Instagram and goes, Princess Dance. So I was like, Gloria, Gloria, like this. And I'm dancing. Yeah. And then they
wait. So they got on Instagram?
Yes.
Wait. So they showed you at your deposition a video from Instagram.
On the screen, a video of me like dancing and da-da-da-da. And I was like, what do you want to know? I go, I dance for him all the time. He loves it when I dance. What relevance does this have whatsoever to January 6th? Like, was they like accusing me of some insurrection dance? I'm not joking. It was crazy. And it was hours before anything happened. This is how they wasted taxpayers, dollars on this. I swear to God, it was the craziest thing. They're just, dumb people. I don't know what to say. It's just bananas.
It's sick stuff. So look, here's what they need to do. And they've been unwilling to do it. Mm-hmm. They have to subpoena Jack Smith the one in Georgia and the one in New York. They need to subpoena
Fannie
them
Willis,
all
Jack Smith.
and bring them in for depositions. And that's where the Republicans have to go. Look, I know they have a small majority, but you're not going to get to the bottom of this until you subpoena those people, bring them in. Look, they won't pull what Hunter Biden pulled, but they'll come up with 101 reasons why they can't do it. And the Republicans should move quick to make sure that Jack Smith gets his ass in there and he is deposed as to where is this information. First, they should get the documents, then they should bring them in. But they got to move fast. I mean, it needs to happen in the next 30 days.
See, this is the problem, because we're learning all this and we're nearing the end of the year. But like you said, the lawyers should be able to put this together to tee it off, because it's super important. There's no other way they're going to be able to get it and get the clarity about this. Like, look how long it took for the January 6th to be released to begin with.
Well, and remember, this is their game plan. It's the only way. It's stop Trump at all cost, right? So when we first heard about this, they raid Mar-a-Lago, then they go out and say, and then Trump goes up in the polls, then they indict him all over the country. Trump goes up in the polls, and then they put all this money behind you name the candidates that they put all this money behind. Many of whom should not even ever have been on the stage. I mean, there were a couple of them there who specifically said they were only there to destroy Trump. Now, why, if you're the RNC, do you let those people on the debate stage?
That's a whole other question.
That's a sidebar, but
that's a whole other thing. That RNC situation is very bad.
But here's the point that I was gonna say. So let's talk about. Remember what they said? If Trump doesn't win Iowa, he's gone. Okay. Then they said, if so and so can get second place, Trump's probably gonna be gone. Then, I don't know if you heard this, but it was like 3 or 4 weeks ago, they said, if Trump doesn't get 50% in Iowa, he's gone.
He's gone.
Like, wait a second. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You're just going to keep moving the goalposts?
Let me give you the diagnosis called borderline personality disorder, where you constantly move the goalposts, to fit your narrative or your outcome that you desire. It's bananas, but there is still a lot of this Trump derangement syndrome going on. They're in big trouble because he's doing great in Iowa. He's doing great in Michigan, by the way. If you saw the new numbers in all the different swing states, his polling is just extremely robust. I was talking to John McLaughlin. I'm like, I wish the election was today. I mean, it's just so strong. And they got to be in a panic attack, the Democrats, seeing these numbers.
Yeah, and it looks to me like that the Trump campaign, I get to see a little bit of it just from afar on Truth Social, because everybody posts on Truth Social about all the campaign stuff and the polling. So I get to follow it, through Truth Social. And what it looks like to me is they're running, just a scorched, earth. I mean, they're covering Iowa. The Trump campaign is, with surrogates. I mean, you had, I think I saw Wesley Hunt, new congressman from Texas.
I like him a lot.
Iowa. Yeah,
He's
Matt
great.
Whitaker, I think, has been there. I mean, so you got 20, 30 surrogates that are out there. Plus, you have Donald Trump doing these massive rallies and get out the vote efforts in Iowa. So look, it looks to me like they're doing everything right. I don't know if they get 50% or not, but you know what? It won't matter, because if he gets 51%, then the next day they're going to say he didn't get 60%. He's therefore going to lose. That'll be the next.
You got to come back on and do it, because I like when you do that. It makes me laugh. No one didn't know that you were like this comedian too, Devin. Well, you love the Trump stuff, right? Where they go out, oh, if Donald Trump does it, and you're like, oh, okay, we hear it again. I don't know. It's good stuff. I'm feeling pretty good about things. You've laid it out so well for us. Okay, so now I need you to just keep it that way. Okay, right. Keep it that way. We love it, and doing a great job over at Truth Social. People absolutely love it. Superstar, one of the brightest strategists, intelligence guy you can ever imagine, and a world-class CEO, Devin Nunes. Thank you so much for being on the program.
Very kind. Have a good Christmas, Kim.
All right, you too. Yes, Merry Christmas. We can still say that. All right, take care, my friend. And my closing remarks just ahead. I'll also respond to your questions and comments. But first, don't forget about the great team over at MyPillow, because the best pillow is getting even better, folks. The MyPillow 2.0 is now equipped with a brand new temperature regulating technology. No one likes a hot bed, let's be honest, or a hot pillow. And it will keep you comfortable throughout the night. So as Mike Lindell has been telling you all, the patented interlocking fill allows you to adjust your MyPillow for your individual needs. So it's going to give you the great support and exact support you need from the bed to your head. And it's going to stay that way throughout the night. Get involved. You're going to love it. And you can buy one, get one free. How about for Christmas? Buy one, get one free with promo code Kimberly at mypillow.com. That's Kimberly at mypillow.com, along with big discounts on all of your favorite MyPillow products. I always throw a shout out there for the phenomenal American Eagle towels. Are so fun. The swim towels are really amazing, beach towels. So that's mypillow.com/Kimberly, mypillow.com/Kimberly. I also want to bring you a special message from Patriot Lifestyle, where you can save more and spend less on a whole host of different lifestyle benefits, including savings on travel, identity theft, legal services, and even my favorite, pet care. Take a look. Guilfoyle here, and I'm so excited to introduce the Patriot Lifestyle Benefits Program. With our benefits program, you get a range of lifestyle benefits at an affordable price, so you can save money and stay secure. For example, as a member, you will access exclusive discounts with NB Cash Back, so you can save more on your everyday expenses like groceries, restaurants, and even auto services. And with NB Travel, you can experience more but spend less by enjoying deep discounts on flights, hotels, entertainment, and so much more. These benefits are available to you and your immediate family to use anytime, anywhere. We also offer identity theft protection, so you can stay on top of any unauthorized, fraudulent, or illegal activity. And access free and discounted legal services, so you can protect your rights and receive top legal advice without breaking the bank. Plus, enjoy peace of mind on the highway with our roadside assistance program. And even take care of your furry friends with discounts on pet food, toys, medicine, grooming, and even trips to the vet. Our program is designed specifically for America First patriots like you, who understand the importance of letting your dollars reflect your values and supporting companies who support you. And the best part of all of this, our benefits are at below market prices, so you can enjoy all of them while living the Patriot lifestyle to the fullest. So don't miss out. Visit our website at patriotbenefits.net. That's patriotbenefits.net. Thank you again for choosing the Patriot Lifestyle Benefits Program, where real benefits and real savings are our top priority. Join us today and start saving now. And you can go to patriotbenefits.net to learn even more. These programs all come at an extraordinary value and will greatly improve your life. All right, we're going to have a couple questions here. I really enjoyed the conversations with Alina Habba and Devin Nunes, the CEO of Truth Social. It seems like you guys enjoyed it as well. What do you got, Drew?
User America246, the Biden crime family needs to go out of business.
So true, but it seems like the Obamas and probably even the Clintons are thinking so now as well. They've all had it. The Democrats, the insiders, as we heard from Devin, it's very obvious. The people I talk to on the Dem side, they all want Biden to go. They know they have a problem, okay? It's either one slip and fall and sayonara, or they push him out, like he said, the wall's closing in with the DOJ. But enough is enough. And then just the hypocrisy and the outrage that everyone felt seeing Hunter Biden just make a mockery of the congressional subpoena and go there and give a little press conference with the assistance of Eric Swalwell. It's just the whole thing is so outrageous. So he's got to be held in contempt of Congress. They have to show that when they, put forth these subpoenas and issue them, they have to be taken seriously and complied with. They have to compel attendance. And if not, then you have to be held in contempt. That is the way it works. That's not being biased. That's not being partisan. It's just a matter of facts. Okay.
You'll like this one. Buck Wayne. Trump campaigns, multiple cities, multiple states. Joe Biden trips over chalk marks.
It's literally true. He can't even. How could Joe Biden go to multiple states or do anything like that? That's the problem. They are trying to sideline President Trump. It's election interference because they don't want to face him in the ballot box. They have a terrible candidate that can't put one foot in front of the other, like a walk basic, even like a duck. He can't. He can't do it. And he is just, mentally incompetent, physically, decrepit, essentially. I mean, the poor man should be in a rest home being cared for, but, they're still parading him out there because the Bidens don't want to give up the power or want to prevent him from going to jail. And Hunter Biden, I think it's become an insurance policy at this point. But I have news for them. They're not going to be able to do it. I think they will replace him. They will push him out one way or the other, or he will do himself in. And I think that is just inevitable. The only question is who will be the candidate on the Democrat side, because it's very obvious that Trump is going to be the nominee. You cannot in any way, shape, or form fight against these numbers and how far ahead he is in the polls. In the primary, the general election shows he beats Biden. So they're very concerned about this on the left, and they should be. They have a massive problem and not much time, like 11 months, to figure it out. Or they're going to lose everything. And with Trump at the top of the ticket, you can expect that we're going to win down ballot races. We've got to increase the majority in Congress, and we've got to take the Senate. And with those three branches, we can get a lot done, especially with a president that won't be seeking re-election. He is just in there to clean house, get stuff done, restore American greatness, secure the border, put us back on top in terms of national security and foreign policy and more manufacturing and infrastructure in this country. And all the world leaders know it, okay? But the world is a safer and a better place when President Trump is in charge. And he's got a lot of work to do to get the country in the shape it needs to be for after the 4 years that he's in next. So there you go. Anything else, guys? All right. Well, in closing, today the panic is setting in and they're drowning in it. All across the Democratic Party. They're pointing fingers at Biden on the border. The impeachment inquiry is ramping up. They are pushing more fake Russia stories. And Obama is apparently even worried it's all crashing down. And it's because the America First movement is winning like never before. We see it in the polls, in the momentum, and in Donald Trump himself. Donald Trump's courage and the courage of MAGA champions inspires me every single day. Biden has sold out America. Trump loves America, and America loves him. And starting in January 2025, Donald Trump takes care of all the unfinished business. Now you're really going to cry for your mom. And until that day, and for every day in between, remember that you have a home right here on Rumble, where we reject the false narrative and always seek the truth. So be sure to like and subscribe to my channel at Kimberly Guilfoyle, turn on notifications, and follow Don Jr.'s channel as well. Download that Rumble app and tell all your friends so they know exactly where to find us. And also be sure to follow us across all platforms, X, Truth Social, Facebook, and Instagram. And don't miss my honey, Don Jr.'s big show at 6 p.m. Eastern right here on Rumble with historian and scholar, one of my absolute favorites, and yours too, Victor Davis Hanson. It's going to be fantastic. Please hop on over to Locals for a live Q&A with yours truly, and then catch Don Jr. about 50 minutes from now. I hope you have a great rest of the day, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.